What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like the founders of P90X, Baby Einstein, Atari, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Our sponsor today is Rise25.com, which helps service professionals, doctors, lawyers, accountants, coaches, anyone working one-on-one with clients who don't want to just trade time for dollars, and they want to shift to more from one-on-one work to one-to-many work. And if you go to Rise25.com, you can learn more. We have what's called our free dream product ladder, which basically is just a business plan on one sheet of paper, which helps you see gaps and untapped revenue potential. You know, companies like Disney, Apple, the sporting industry, they all use versions of the product ladder. So today I'm very excited. We have someone who, you know, people whisper up about behind closed doors in high-level entrepreneur groups because they want his advice. We have Roland Frasier. He's founded, scaled, or sold almost 24 different businesses, ranging from consumer products to industrial machine manufacturing companies with adjusted sales ranging from $3 million to $337 million. He's completed infomercial deals with Guthy-Renker and K-Tel Direct, publishing deals with Simon & Schuster and Random House, negotiated shows with major hotels on the Las Vegas Strip, and been involved in over 100 private and public offerings, and if you can believe it, much more than that. Roland currently is principal in Idea Incubator, which owns digitalmarketer.com and nativecommerce.com, and works in marketing businesses with Ryan Deiss, Belcher, Frank Kern, and many other digital marketing thought leaders. Roland, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate all those people that you had at the beginning. You're like, we have people like this, this, and this. And I was thinking, and then we couldn't have any of those today, so we got Roland. So.
Not true at all.
Happy to be here.
Not true at all. Yeah, so talk about Founders Board for a second. That's your new cool experiment, more than an experiment, really.
It is. It's my background is very business oriented, and lots of buying companies and selling companies and things like that. And I've owned and built a lot of businesses, and I wanted something that I could focus more on that kind of stuff than just the marketing stuff, because a lot of the stuff that we do is really focused on marketing. And marketing is a critical component, as is sales, but business is too, and it's a different game than those games. So I wanted to have something where we could really help our people, both in War Room and our other contacts and connections, by showing them how to 10x or 100x a business. Yeah. And we have a great track record of that. There's 24 of them. I'm thinking about our proof page. There's 24 businesses now that I've grown to $1 million or more, and many more with Perry and Ryan added. And I think there's 15 of them that have gone to 10 million and 3 at 100. Wow. So that's a pretty good track record. Yeah. And there's a system and a framework around that. And so Founders Board is 4 things really. It is War Room for the mastermind. We're going to the 3 M's, right? It is for modeling this thing that we call the Founders Board Intensive and Founder Board. It is mentoring through an advisory service that we provide, where we become your advisory board. So it has all 3 of the M's, and then it also has, and I maybe you can help me brainstorm the community side. But one of the challenges that I have found as an entrepreneur is that I love this stuff so much that I would talk about it all the time. And I tell people, I say, if I had to work another job to be able to do this for free, I would. It's just super awesome that this pays pretty well. But my family gets pretty sick of hearing, this is amazing, this is a cool thing, and these are our numbers, and take a look at this dashboard, isn't that cool? So having a group of people that you can do social things with as well. Right. So I'm looking for an M that works for community, but having that group of people that you can do social things with as well that have those common interests, and you don't necessarily have to talk about business. I mean, you kind of can't help it because it's part of your fiber, but you don't want to talk about that all the time. But you also want people that are your peers that can play on the level you play on, that can do the things that you want to do, that can hang, financially, intellectually, experientially.
Yeah.
That is a component. So that's really the place we want to go, and Founders Board is the mentoring side of that quadrangle of things.
Where can people find out more about that?
Right now, it's on a horribly named page that has a story behind it, but it's on a horribly named page called 1892society.com/1892. So that obviously...
I thought it was going to be way worse than that. That's not that bad.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Okay. I think it's horrible right now, but...
it's kind of, a secret society type of situation. So.
Yes. We did buy foundersboard.com. So
but why use that when you have 1892 society?
Why use that when you can do /1892? But yeah, so here, let me tell you just briefly the story.
Go ahead, yeah.
So when we're trying to think of what we're going to call this, I Googled, because at the time it was kind of mastermindy, and it's become more mentory. But anyway, I Googled the most successful masterminds in history, and I found that there were really 7 of them. And I had looked at some friends of mine who had different models, and some of them were in the $400 a month range, and some of them were in the $1,860 a month range, and I preferred the $1,800 and some to the $400. And it turned out that some of the masterminds were in the 400s, and one of them in particular was founded in 1892. It was called the Steel Mill Masterminds, and it was Andrew Carnegie. Wow. And out of the Steel Mill Masterminds came most of the managerial and technological innovation of the industrial age. Yeah. So I was like, that's really cool, and it has the benefit of 1892. Of being 1892, which is kind of the price point that I was looking for. So
I didn't realize that. Okay, I was thinking year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was the year, but I needed a year that matched my price point that I wanted. So, so I was like, 1892. That's it. It's perfect.
So what Yeah. So 1892society.com/1892. People should check it out, and it's really for larger scale companies. So,
yeah, that is really focused on people who are. We have 6 stages of business. You have startup, then you have traction, where your product market fit comes from your build, measure, learn loop, right? Then you get the constraint phase, where things were going awesome, and now I need talent, I need money, I have market size challenges, that kind of stuff. And then you get to growth after that, and maturity and decline. And we really want to not focus on the startups. We really want to focus on helping people get traction. We want to help people get product market fit. We want to help people through the constraint phase. And we want to help people who are in the growth phase see how important it is, and the benefit, which is amazing, of selling your company. And get past some of the challenges that stop you from thinking you can sell a company, that it's not good enough. It's absolutely good enough if it gets professionalized with the right kinds of things, and that they're going to leave it to their kids or family. Probably the worst decision you can make. Only about 2% of businesses make it through a few generations. Only about 30, I think it's 28%, past one generation. And your kids and your family probably don't want your business, right? They want money to do what they want to do. So it's really to kind of help people through those challenges. And so you need a business that's actually operating for us to be able to provide, the 21 things that we do to 10x to 100x businesses.
What do your kids want to do?
My kids, one of them is 26. And though he will tell you that he absolutely, positively does not follow in my footsteps at all, he does, because he has gone out and partnered with influencers, with YouTube influencers, and has several of them right now that he has created products with and markets. But yesterday we did a reception at the end of this 1892 intensive thing, and he's there, and somebody said, "Oh, you followed in his footsteps," and he's like, "No, I didn't." I was like, "But you did." So anyway, he's doing that. But what's awesome is, and this is to me, like we were talking about this the other day, is to me, my other son is 20, and he has just come to us and said he's tired of being. He was pizza delivery guy. Mm-hmm. He is currently a coffee barista, but he came and he said, "You know what? I really want to do something more. I want to make more money. I want to be able to be responsible for a family." And we were just like, this is...
Well, he's only 20. I mean, you have some time. Yeah.
This is fantastic. And, he's in an environment of, hyper overachievers.
Yeah.
So what's cool about that is I said, "I'll tell you what, tell me what you're making doing this." And he said, "I'm making $1,500 a month." I said, "Fantastic." I said, "I'll give you a paid internship with me. I want you to come to all of the meetings like your brother did. And I want you to, I'm going to send you down to Austin and train with our sponsorship sales team. And then we will come up with, I want you to go through all the digital marketer certifications. And with that trio of training, you can't help but be successful." And I told him, and then my wife and I and several of our friends were talking about this afterwards in different conversations, is it's just such a gift to your child or a friend or an acquaintance to be able to help them see that the freedom that you get when you can make money to do whatever you want, to impact whatever you want, is life-changing, game-changing, liberating, euphoric, right? And that so many people get stuck in an hourly job, like a barista, like let's look at all the people who are arguing for a $15 minimum wage, right? Because they can't make it. And I don't know how they make it. I don't know how you make it on $15 an hour. I don't know how you make it on $50 an hour or even $100. But the cool thing is that there's this whole world that the listeners of your show, that you and I and now my kids know about, that is absolutely limitless. You can create $1 million in a month. You can create $10 million in a month. And you can do that, or you can make $8 an hour. And that, to me, is absolutely stunning. And a lot of the time, it's simply being lucky enough to be in your dad's car and look back and see a torn up, ugly cassette thing with Denise Waitley's name on it. Or,
I have that cassette case. Exactly what you're talking about.
You do, yeah. It's funny. Yeah. So that to me is just fascinating when you think about it. That a human life, is really only limited by the exposure to the possibilities of what we know can be done, and the mindset of taking the action to do it. That is the only thing that really separates the people who are free to do whatever they want in their lives from the people who are slaves to an hourly wage. That's kind of interesting.
So, Roland, do you have a book in you at some point?
I do. Yeah. I actually do, and I wrote one that was published in the legal field and in all the bookstores a long time ago. And then
I saw that, and I'm like, it can't be the same one. It was some. I remember it was very financial. The financial
Asset
title
Protection for Everyone, which is what I used to do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, Asset Protection. It was published in '97.
Yeah, which I wrote in 5 days because the publisher came to me and said, "We need a book on asset protection because it's hot. If you will write that book for us in 5 days, we will put it in all the bookstores." And I said, "I will absolutely write that book in 5 days." But I wrote another book called Life Without Limits, which I didn't ever publish, but I've given to a lot of my friends. That's kind of my legacy book. I read the Benjamin Franklin Autobiography, and what really stuck with the two huge takeaways for me from that book were Benjamin Franklin was one of the most successful negotiators ever, because he planted in people's brains that whatever thing he wanted, whatever outcome he wanted them to come to, was their idea. And that is something that has been amazingly good for me to do, to help people through kind of a Socratic method of asking questions, lead them to the conclusion that I think will benefit both them and me. And the other thing is that he wrote that as a legacy for his kids of basically this is kind of how I think you might want to consider the possibility of living your life, because I found these things to be good for me. And so I wrote the Life Without Limits book basically for my kids that I did not have at the time. But now what I have done is a lot of my friends have written books, and a lot of them are very well known. And so what I found that I wasn't doing, I would tell people all the time, I was like, all these people with these stories, I don't have any stories. And my wife and the kids.
You said that?
Yeah, my wife and kids, because they all have like Perry's Mr. Stories got all these amazing stories, and all these people that have written these books. I'm like, gosh, these are great stories, and I was like, I just don't have any. And they're all like, you're an idiot. You absolutely have stories. And so was it this year? I think it was this year. They were like, you're sitting down with us, and we're going to tell you all of the stories that you tell us. And they did, and I made a list of them, and now I'm like, that's awesome. It turns out I do have a couple of stories. I have actually quite a few of them. And so I've written all those down, and now I am tying the kind of lessons to the adventures of those. And I have, I have lived, probably 19 lives instead of 7, but and I have a couple of things that I think are interesting to people to weave in, like I've visited 150 countries. That's an unusual thing. And tying those in. So I'm trying to, I realize what I want is I don't want a book that is simply instructional 1, 2, 3. I want something that is entertaining and interesting as well.
Yes. So when is this book going to come out? Is it going to be the extended edition of Life Without Limits, or is it going to be from scratch, these stories?
Here's an interesting exercise. However old you are right now, write a book that you think you want to give to your kids that tells them what you think about a whole bunch of things right now. And I did that in 1995, and then read that 20, 30 years later, and you will be like, I was just so stupid. I can't believe I thought. I mean, there's lots of things that I still think about, but it's like the evolution of those ideas has been truly interesting. It actually would probably be an interesting book to say, this is, maybe you call it Then and Now.
The evolution, right, exactly.
Yeah. But I do have a fantastic title that Perry helped me with, and all my stories that my family helped me with, and so it will definitely be out in 2018.
So I could feel like you're a busy man. You have to have a lot of things to attend to, but what's one of your favorite stories that you think will make it in the book?
One of my favorite stories is in Africa. I love to take nature pictures, and so I'm an avid photographer, and I love to travel. So traveling while taking pictures of animals is wonderful for me. And so I was on a safari by myself in Africa. I was in Botswana on the Zambezi River. The leading cause of death on the Zambezi River is hippo attacks. Wow. And
those things are ferocious, I hear.
They are amazingly ferocious. And so I was in a boat taking pictures of 4 elephants that were kind enough to be by the riverbank with getting water. They get water and put it on their backs and then wallow in the mud to provide protection from the sun and things like that. So I got a family of elephants doing the spray thing, and I'm trying to get them like all in unison so it kind of has the perfect thing. And these pictures take you'll sit there for an hour and a half to just get, no, don't do that. Just do a little bit more. So, but I do notice over about 200 yards away is, I think they call it a pod of hippos. And the male is kind of eyeing us up, and my guide said, we got to watch that guy. If he gets too close, we'll have to take off. And so I'm taking the pictures, and I see him getting closer and closer, and I'm like, should we go? And he's like, nah, not yet. We gotta live with it. I was like, okay, taking my pictures, and then he gets really significantly closer, and he's about maybe 20 yards away. And the guy goes, yeah, it's time for us to go. So he goes and he pulls the cord on the motor to start, and the cord flies out of his hand and lands in the water and sinks, and the motor is not started, and the hippo is getting closer and closer. And I'm like, this is not a good choice. I can jump out towards the hippo, guaranteed death. I can jump out towards the elephants where there's a baby elephant, guaranteed charge, death, goring. Or I can swim away in the opposite direction where all the crocodiles are, which is, guaranteed maiming, so maiming, certain death, goring, no good options. I'm truly thinking this. And I'm like, and then I'm going to be out because my guide sure as hell isn't going to hang around. It's going to be, I don't have to outrun the elephants or the hippos. I just have to run faster than you.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much screwed if we can't get this started. And I'm looking around in the boat, and the life preserver, which I did not elect to wear, has this white band on it. And so I ripped the band off of the life preserver, and we coil it around the thing and pull it, and the thing goes blip, 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 blip. And now the hippo's closer, and I'm kind of hanging out in the boat looking at the hippo, and wrap it around again, pull it, and the third time it starts, I have a picture of the hippo's mouth open like that, literally 2 feet from me, because I was taking that as my last picture before I literally jumped out of the boat, and it started, and we pulled away, and the hippo just kind of was like, then their eyes are all like here,
Right.
But that was to me just a fantastic experience where there was no way that you would survive if you panicked. The only thing that you could do was try to rapidly innovate on a different way to make this one thing that could save your butt happen.
Was the guy freaking out?
He was. I think he was confident that he could outrun me.
Really?
He was
already thinking that.
He was no. He was really nervous. He was absolutely frantically pulling the thing and wrapping it around. This, like, if I collapsed all this, that last little bit of how fast the hippo came, and we took that off and wound it. It felt like it took 30 minutes, but it was probably just a couple,
like 5 seconds, right?
Yeah. So we were definitely very happy once we left that area, sighing a big sigh of relief.
I'm sighing relief. Damn. Roland, thank you so much for sharing the stories and for your time. Everyone should check out all those sites we mentioned. And I just want to be the first one to thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100 grand.